Hello. We are Net
Hello.
Camera Action. That's Stephanie.
Hi. That's Rebecca.
So we are here with Klaus. We're trying to see if he stays quiet by being in here with us. It might not work.
It's fine.
It's a test. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out where I even was on this project.
It's like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What project is that?
This is Travel Mode 2.0, and it is over halfway complete.
It
at this
is.
point. I'm going to see if I can hold it
Find
up
a
decently. Yeah.
over Klaus also.
Okay, so I've got some
There we go.
little
Yeah.
chevron situation
looking
going
nice.
on here. Thank you. I'm really enjoying it, and also some very nice person picked out the colors for me, so all I had to do was knit it. Yeah.
Someone asked me to.
None of them are green.
None of them are green because
Hmm.
somebody doesn't like green as much as somebody else. But speaking of green,
I like green just fine.
well, you don't like it as much as I do.
I like it an average amount.
Yeah, you like it a normal person
Yes.
amount
Yes.
instead of this amount.
Yes.
Which this is the Chili Pepper Cardigan by Bonnie. I'm gonna go with Sennot. Sorry if that's not how that's spelled, but yeah, it's a nice DK weight cardigan. I did it by putting together all sorts of green fingering weights.
Mhm.
So it's got all sorts of things happening.
Now, did you know how much you liked green before it was pointed out to you? Like, you knew you liked green.
I knew I liked green. And I still maintain that there's like a particular green that I like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like all the greens.
Okay.
I actually argue that blue is my favorite color
Okay.
because there are no blues I don't like.
Okay.
Every shade of blue is a nice shade of blue.
That is true.
It might not go in certain color schemes or something like
Mhm.
that, but it's not objectively a blue I don't like.
Okay.
There are greens that I just don't like.
All right.
Like the more brown greens,
Mm-hmm.
I can live without those.
Okay.
Those I don't need.
Mhm.
But anyway, today we're going to watch a movie.
We are.
Because
Yes.
that's what we do. What are we watching, Stephanie?
Today we are watching the, I believe it's a 2019 cinematic masterpiece, Knives Out.
Knives Out,
Knives Out.
which I have
Yes.
not seen.
But I have.
Yes. So, my understanding of this, because I did see Knives Out, The Glass Onion.
Okay.
So we have Daniel Craig. Yep, that's his actual name.
Mm-hmm.
He is some sort of detective.
Yes.
And
Benoit.
yeah, and he has
Wow.
an accent.
Yes. It's delightful.
It is. It's a good
It
accent. I
is.
just don't know where it's from.
No one does.
Okay, cool.
Mm.
It's vaguely French. But is it like
Also somewhat southern.
also somewhat southern? Yeah, so I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe like New Orleans.
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
We don't know. That's also,
It's
I don't think the point of the movie. I
It
don't
is-
think it's
it is
relevant.
not. It is not. And he is, I believe, the only character that goes between the movies. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Sure.
You'll see.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
But, so Stephanie is going to be working on her travel mode,
Mm-hmm.
and I am going to be working on a Nightmare Before Christmas snake that I am making up myself. So it's basically just a tube with 2-inch stripes.
Why is it the Nightmare Before Christmas snake?
Because we watched The Nightmare Before Christmas, and it was requested that I make Nightmare Before Christmas decorations,
Mm-hmm.
and I said I could make a snake, and so I'm making a snake. And the snake in Nightmare Before Christmas goes around eating presents, so I've put various boxes in here along with the stuffing. So there's like square bits, because the snake has eaten presents.
That's adorable.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's this long.
Yeah.
We'll see how long it is by the end of the movie.
All right.
And if Klaus has any thoughts about the movie.
What do you think, Klaus?
He thinks he's maybe going to lay down, and then we're going to leave
Yeah.
and go to where the TV is.
Which is probably where he would have wanted to.
That's
lay
where he
down
would
to begin
prefer to
with.
have laid down anyway, so yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That's okay. All right.
We shall check in later and
Yes.
tell you more about
Knives.
Knives Out and whatever happens. We'll see.
They're knives.
Are they sticking out?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Check in a bit. Very strange.
Well, we're back.
We have made it. We have returned.
We watched the
We
movie.
did.
The movie of.
Knives Out.
Good job.
I was going to say
Uh,
Nights Out, and it's like,
well,
that's... Not it.
It is
not
Frozen,
the movie.
No.
But Knives Out.
Yes.
We watched that
we
one.
did. Now,
And
I've seen it. I like it. I
Yes.
liked it before. I still like it. And I actually saw things in there that I didn't really notice previously.
Nice.
Which was kind of a nice touch. Like,
Cool.
It's nice that, like, there's some things that...
Like, it's worth revisiting because
is.
there's more layers.
It is,
Because you always want those layers.
Right. I mean, I don't think there's much of a surprise to find that in a, like, mystery movie there's a plot twist. So,
Right.
there's a plot twist, everybody. So,
Yes.
once you figure out the
Shocking
plot twist,
spoilers. Knives Out is a murder mystery.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
That
Also,
is-
we did not bring Klaus with us this time.
No.
So if you hear him in the background,
he is sad.
he's sad to be alone,
And that's
as
okay.
usual. So that's still a
Yeah.
thing. But yeah. No,
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that, like, so again, it's a mystery. Not going to go into too many details, but one of my favorite things, you know, from like high school literature class was always dramatic irony, when, you know, the audience knows things that not necessarily all the characters know, and there is a lot of that.
A lot.
A lot of
Yes.
that.
Yes.
In Knives Out. Although I was also pretty pleased to see that there are a lot of similarities between Knives Out and Knives Out Glass Onion, but they're not the same. You know?
Right.
Because, like, sometimes when you get into, I mean, it's been a few years and they haven't made any more of these, so, like, if it's going to be, like, a full-on movie franchise, kind of debatable. But, like, you know, there's always that issue when you have that kind of, like, recurring character that it's going to be formulaic. And they're not. They're both,
They are
like,
not. No,
they're both
pretty
completely
different.
unique, independent movies.
With just
Benoit Blanc
Benoit.
is in there, and I'm sorry, it is not a French accent. It is just Southern.
Southern fried, if you will.
Yeah.
They make a couple cracks about
something.
that.
I disagree.
Yes.
I think it will take a few more watchings of the episode of The Office when
I'd love to know where the sentence is going.
No. So there's the episode of The Office where something is happening at corporate and Michael decides to play a game and it's like something Southern. And so then Andy goes through all the different types of Southern accents.
I don't remember that.
Oh.
but
I mean, it's
need to
very
find
short.
it
It's
too.
probably about like
Like a snippet.
20 seconds.
Like the length of like I don't know, a reel or a TikTok.
Possibly.
TikTok. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, like he goes through like, okay, so if you talk, you know, this way, it's Alabama, and if you talk this way, it's Florida Panhandle, and you know,
Yeah.
Georgia, you got the molasses that's just rolling off your tongue.
I do remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Um,
we'll have to watch that again.
As
And then based on Andy, a character from The Office's interpretation of theater accents, we will then use our wonderful judgment to decide where this other fictional character might be from.
so, as you know,
That's a good use of time.
I grew up in the South,
Yeah.
and this is my accent. This is my natural accent, and there's a lot of bad Southern accents out there in media. So, and this is kind of one of them, but on purpose. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
works.
No,
But,
it definitely
yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Like, and it's definitely
I'm
like,
not mad about it.
very over the top and
Oh, yeah.
very theatrical.
Yes.
Like at one point, one of the characters in the show references the board game Clue,
Yes.
and that is very
Yeah.
appropriate. And like, it's like, yeah, it is Clue.
It's definitely kind of like an homage
Mhm,
in some
mhm.
ways. There's
And
not a lot of like running room to room to find out like,
Right.
who's dead this time.
no, but you know,
it
it's
is,
what's
yeah.
is it a closed door mystery?
locked door.
Locked room. There you go. So it's kind of a locked room mystery,
Kind of.
sort of.
Yeah.
Like it isn't, but like it kind of is.
Yeah. There's
Sort
a limited
of.
number of people.
There's a limited number of
that
people.
are
It's like one
suspects.
location they could have left,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It was good.
it was good.
It was
Yeah.
good.
It's definitely really good
you know,
movie.
like I said, there were a lot of things that I noticed, even on this, my third watching, that were, I didn't catch that before. You know, it was kind of a nice little, like, sneak peek, and there were, like, little throwaway comments that later on come up. So I thought it was very clever. I like this genre. I like this, I like that this is a thing. So you know, it's nice. It's nice to sit down and watch it. I'll probably watch it again in another couple of months.
It's fair.
So
it's fair. There are a couple things that I do want to discuss that are a little bit more spoilery. So if you are like me and have not watched it yet, you might want to skip ahead because we will talk about knitting again. But if anyone is worried about spoilers for like actual plot events, and some of them are going to be pretty substantial, pretty spoilery, don't watch this next part. And I'll put like some sort of
we could do like a skip ahead
image
type thing. Like,
you're
going into the spoiler zone.
Yes,
here.
spoiler
zone.
Spoilers.
We're gonna put it like right here.
So one of the things that you mentioned that you hadn't caught before is at the very beginning, the victim, whose name I don't remember. Harlan. Thank you.
Something.
Thromsby or something like that. Yeah.
Harlan.
He mentions that one of his grandsons is, Harlan is, an author, millionaire author.
Yes. It's Christopher Plummer. He's, living his best life. He's got these kids who are middle-aged and spoiled. And he's got a grandson who's, 30-ish?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
30-ish. He's got a 30-ish grandson. He's got a 20s granddaughter. And then he's got a teenager. And sorry, the cat wants to come in.
Oh, well.
So we're going to let the cat in. Come on, Leo. Anyway, so one of the statements, the thing that Stephanie mentioned as we were watching it that she hadn't noticed the first time, is that Harlan is complaining that the 30-ish-year-old grandson, Ransom with an M, we had that lovely conversation, but he's, a no good, and he's never had a job, and this and that and the other thing, and he doesn't pay attention, and he doesn't even know the difference between, like, feeling, the difference in his hand between... Sorry, I had another thought. A prop knife and a real knife, like a stage prop and a real prop, or a real knife.
Like attacked you.
It did.
Right there.
It did.
Okay.
We'll get back to it. But my thought to that was, if we've learned anything from Psych, obviously this is the one big lesson from Psych. It's not. It was one episode. It was a pretty small point. But when he went to the, when he was on the telenovela.
Ah, yes.
Because someone was accidentally stabbed on the telenovela, he went and talked to the prop guy. And the prop guy said, they do everything they can to make stage knives as real, as close to the original knife as possible. So that way it's like more accurate and you're not like flinging it all over the place the way you would not be able to with a real knife. I'm sorry, my cat is being weird because he's a cat.
Slide into the cable and hold. I'm trying to figure out what to do next.
Switch needles.
Like, slide the remaining stitches of section 18. Okay. Yep. We're there. We're starting on the right side row. Everybody.
Yes.
Here we go.
Woo. So then, but that statement was about Ransom. It came up later, and Ransom tried to stab somebody, but it was a prop knife, and he didn't know.
Yes, because he's a ding dong.
He doesn't pay attention.
But also, like, he did it kind of quick. It wasn't like he, like...
No, it was just like...
walked around and, like, tried to cut some cheese with it, and then, like, no, he was just like, swing, boom.
Yes,
and then...
Very impulsive. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I just thought of, Harlan was talking about how his grandson is so terrible because he can't tell things when he's holding them. And one of, like... Right?
Oh.
One of the things, like, the whole thing is Sorry, I'm going to shut the door now. Sorry, Leo.
Sorry,
Klaus is being very loud.
Right, so...
Like, one of the last twists...
Yeah.
What they think... The whole thing is, like... The nerd... He's old. He's 85. Harlan is old and 85. And he has this, like, live-in nurse who's kind of his best friend. And...
His family sucks.
And it's awful. But, like, he gets a couple different medications every night. He gets something of like a non-narcotic painkiller, and then he gets 3 milligrams of morphine at night to sleep. And the whole show, the whole movie, his nurse Marta thinks that she killed him by accidentally giving him 100 milligrams of morphine.
I don't think I was supposed to take the marker off.
I mean,
I'll live. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I think.
Right. So she
thinks that
she overdosed him.
She overdosed him.
And so do you.
And so do you. But then at the end, labels were switched. Things happened. Again, you know this is the spoilery section.
Right.
Okay, the cat was gonna jump up and
so like the cool part is that like she didn't really overdose him. And that she just naturally grabbed the right one because it's something she does every day. It's something
and she could tell the difference even though they're both clear liquids in now what are mismarked bottles.
Right.
But she can just feel the difference between the different medications.
Yeah.
Just because she knows what she's doing. So she didn't actually poison him. And that was just something that I thought. The other thing is like he wasn't feeling any of the symptoms.
No, they were like 4 minutes into it, and he was just like la la la, and I was like, So
yeah, so
you know,
there's a whole
you
thing.
can quote me on that.
La la la.
Yeah, that was something I was watching on my second watch since I knew that he wasn't really dosed. I was like, I thought at one point that he said 8 minutes, but I don't think he did. I think he said something else, and I just heard it wrong.
Well,
he said 4 minutes after that.
Yeah, it was weird. It had been 4 minutes, but they were talking about it being 8 minutes, but then it's like, how long is it going to take for the ambulance to get here?
Right.
But then you have to leave.
Well, so they also said, Benoit said that, you know, if you had let her do what she wanted to do and call the ambulance, he would have made it.
Right.
But, like, he would have made it anyway because that was his normal dose.
Well, he would have made it anyway, but they didn't know that. But if they had waited for the ambulance, they would have found out, and they would have found out that she hadn't overdosed him because what actually happens is he thinks he's dying from a morphine overdose because she immediately picked it up and then read it and was like, oh no, I overdosed you. And the antidote is now missing from my medical bag.
And at that point, your eyes are telling you this is morphine.
Right.
So you're overriding your own sense at that point of what you would have otherwise known, which she did.
And I mean, you know, it is a very small thing. It's a small sense to be like, this liquid is the wrong viscosity in a bottle. You know, compared to it says morphine. But there was an antidote in the bag, but then it was missing. So, you know, he makes her leave and then goes and slits his own throat. And so everyone always thinks it's suicide, but she's like, no, he only committed suicide because I overdosed him, and he just slit his throat so that he wouldn't have to fall asleep from morphine. Like,
no, it was to make it obviously suicide.
Oh, so that it wouldn't point back.
For it.
Oh,
and she
okay.
Like, because she didn't know she was going to inherit all of his gobs of money.
Right.
But he did.
He did.
And he wanted her to still do that because she was a nice person with
She was a nice person, and yeah, like, so she told him immediately, and he's like, no, don't worry, I'll take care of it.
Do exactly what I
tell you.
He's a mystery writer.
Yes.
That's how he came up with all of this in 4 minutes and not like, you know, just
right.
Because, you know, 4 minutes.
And I mean, you know, he's 85. He was good. But yeah, I mean, like, if she had called the ambulance, he wouldn't have died because he just wouldn't have died.
Right.
But then he also would have been fine because they would have been like, we'll look at your blood. We'll take you to the hospital, but like you seem fine, and it took us more than 10 minutes to get here. So
So I mean, was there anything else that you thought about of the movie that you were like, that was interesting? Or
I mean, I don't know, because like the characters,
they're horrible people.
But they're also caricatures.
Right.
You know, because like there were all the different types of people. There's the grandson who's just a worthless trust fund grandson who doesn't care about anything except himself and buying the next cool thing. And then there's, you know, like the spoiled liberal girl who's in the liberal arts college who is taking all
Meg.
the, you know,
underwater basket weaving, blah, blah,
blah, blah, blah. And then there's the, you know, spoiled grandson who's always on his phone and he's alt-right. And like, you know, so like they got everybody. But like none of the people were real people except for like Marta, except for the nurse. And so that was kind of on purpose, which was fine. I thought it was interesting how they used the dogs, because they had some guard dogs on the property, because, you know, it's a big, huge mansion, blah, blah, you know, and so they've got these guard dogs. It's an estate, yep. And the dogs are just running around being crazy dogs, and you know, at one point,
they just live
outside running around being dogs. But at one point, like Marta, in following Harlan's directions, she had she had to climb the trellis outside, and she broke part of the trellis off, and then the dog was like trying to get her to play fetch with it.
Yes.
And that was good. And then like at one point, one of the, I guess the one son-in-law, he got really mad because Harlan was going to expose him for having an affair, and he threw a baseball out a window, and then later the dog showed up with it in his mouth. Like the dog had the baseball in his mouth. I thought the baseball was going to mean more. It didn't.
Nope.
It was just a baseball that the dog had.
A fun little...
It's like, oh, hey, the dog got the baseball. Okay, that's cool. Whatever.
I like when there's stuff like that. Like, it's just kind of a throwaway thing.
Yeah.
And it's just, it adds to some of the characters.
Sure.
Some of the,
yeah. I mean, it just shows that, like, the people who
like,
wrote it and everything, like, cared about what they're doing, because it's so easy to have a character just throw a ball out a window because he's frustrated and it's a thing he can do right now.
And you never see it again.
And that's not a terrible thing. Those kinds of things happen. But for the dog to come back with it later is amusing. Yeah.
The thing that I liked about, one of the things that I noticed this time that I liked was that when he threw the baseball, it cut to a scene from outside and you saw the baseball land.
Yes.
And it was like, and then that wasn't the point of the scene. The point was people walk in and have a conversation, and I was like, oh, yeah. That was
and it was great because as it landed, the people who were now having conversation had to walk over the baseball that just landed right in front of their feet.
Like, it spoke to the timing of everything too, which I thought was clever and well done.
Because about half the movie is like one day.
Yeah.
And they're going back and forth in time all the time between people remembering what happened, you know, the night before he died, and then like this discussion with the police and the private investigator. And so like time could get really confusing, but they did a lot of things to, like, you know, again, little things like the baseball to try and be like, oh no, this is happening now.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Did we ever figure out why they have like a throne with knives in their house?
I think there are a lot of things in that house that just related back to various books that he wrote, because like there was a state trooper there who had read all of Harlan's works, and he kept pointing out different references and allusions and things like that, and he's like, oh, that's from that book, that's from that book, that's from that book. Now whether it started with the house or it started with the book, that kind of doesn't matter, but I mean probably a little bit of both, because I find it, because it's established that the Harlan bought the mansion in the 80s, he bought the estate in the 80s, so I find it really hard to believe that there would be this wall of knives in this house in the 80s. When one of his you know, best-selling books was something about lots of knives.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessary. It may have also been called Knives Out, but it might not have.
I definitely like had a wall of knives in the house in the 80s. I don't know who didn't.
For sure. So,
It was like the wood paneling and then the knives.
Yeah.
It was a thing.
This is like a big circle of knives.
And then this is your brain on drugs.
Right. And the frying pan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That's exactly what it was.
It was a thing. I made it through the setup row.
Yay!
Everyone, we can relax. That was good.
It's good.
I liked the part of the plot where they looped in the housekeeper.
Yes.
And how she was being naughty and trying to blackmail the grandson she didn't like, who was being very naughty. And something bad happened to her. But like, I liked that into the plot and how it tied back into everything, and how when he was like, oh, you don't have any evidence on me. All you have is attempted murder. And then he confesses to trying to kill her. Like,
because she's not dead, and attempted murder isn't as bad as real murder.
Yeah, it's totally different. So,
as Ash says on Morbid, it feels like you're getting rewarded for just sucking because you tried to kill someone and you just sucked and weren't able to. So you get rewarded for that because you just did a bad job? What?
So I liked that, you know, she had in fact not actually survived.
Right.
And he just confessed to it.
Right. Which I mean, sucks
Marta
for
was able to
Fran,
deliver that line, but yeah,
it was good for the story. It was good for the movie.
And then the stabbing part, that was fun.
And then the stabbing part,
I enjoy the ridiculous plot device that she can't lie.
Yes.
That she throws up every time she lies. It's hilarious.
It really is.
Hilariously, like, I've heard some really weird things in my life.
Sure.
Haven't run across that one.
Nope.
Like, do you get a stomach ache like Chidi? Absolutely. But to actually projectile vomit
all the way to throwing up,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. It's ridiculous, but it's funny, which is pretty much the whole premise.
It was great because, like, at one point, she's driving Benoit Blanc somewhere, and he asks her, like, hey, you don't mind driving me, do you? And she's like, no, it's fine, and then throws up in, like, the 7-Up big gulp cup that she had in her car, and then, like, wipes her mouth as he's, like, walking around, and then, like, they all pretend like it didn't happen. Yeah. It's like, yeah, you totally just didn't throw up, and we don't smell that, and it's fine.
Well, that was an entertaining.
Yeah, it was an entertaining
gimmick, I guess.
Gimmick. It was good, and it was used well again at the end when she, like, delivered that final line and then just, like, intentionally just, like, threw up in Ransom's face.
Right all over him.
Right all over him, and there's just, like, food on him for the rest of
it was great.
The rest of the movie.
I mean, he had it coming. And there were, like, 6 minutes left. He was pretty terrible.
It was good. It was really good.
It was really good. So yeah.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yay. Definitely good watch.
Yeah. So spoilers over now.
Spoilers over.
All right. So if you're listening to this, it's safe again.
Yes. Okay. We shall now talk about yarn things.
Well, no, we have to say we like the movie.
We like the movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We probably knew that.
Probably.
Yeah, but you skipped from. We want to make sure you still knew if we liked it.
We want it to be nice and clear.
Yes.
So.
The knives were out. In fact.
Knives were out, and now they're pointing up, and we give it 5 knives.
5 knives.
5 knives up. Yay! Yeah. Or something.
Something
I
like
don't know.
that. Yeah. So, how'd your snake go during the movie?
My snake is going well. So here is the current snake. So here I have a little stitch marker of where I started. Is the koala. And I got, like, half of that, and 1, 2, 3, and then I've been doing this 4th one, like, as we've been talking. And it's roughly about 45 stitches, I think. I want to say it's 45 stitches. That seems to be my memory. I did have a chat with my child about the stuffing, because we had talked about, you know, how long it needs to be and what else we could stuff in there for the snake to swallow things.
The snake being the snake from
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
That eats presents.
That eats presents and trees. We wanted present-shaped things, yes. But then the child said that there was a preference to just have it be squishy, and so this is like the snake that has been left at the house and has not started eating things yet. So, like, all the nice, you know, here I've got a roundy thing, and I've got the box here and the box there. Those have to be taken out, and I have to restuff it. But the knitting is still good, and I was kind of running out of things to stuff it with anyway. So.
You're doing snake surgery this week.
Doing snake surgery. I mean, it just kind of hold it upside down and shake it.
Yeah.
It's not that big a deal.
It's snake surgery.
Snake surgery. Oh
snake surgery. All right. Soon I will be through my 2nd row of the new section of this.
The new section.
Yeah, so I finished the section I was working which was this one right here. I did about half of this during the movie. So now it is wrapped up and I'm on to the new section, section 20.
Yay!
I know! 20 of, I'm not sure how many, but it's a lot.
It's a lot. I want to say it's, I mean, it's probably like 45 when you include all the parts of the border.
29 plus border parts. So.
Okay, so apparently I do not remember this pattern because the actual number that was in my head was 70, and then I was like, no. Stephanie said she's past the middle, and I've seen that she's past the middle, so she's on.
And I'm on section
section 20. There's definitely not 70 sections, but I know that the border technically is supposed to have like 3 or 4, so maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But maybe the stitch count somewhere is 70. I don't know.
I don't know either. I just knit here.
So, just knitting. It's fine.
I'm just gonna keep on knitting.
I don't know. I'll just make things up. It's fine. Whatever.
I'm knitting to the marker that I forgot, so I gotta like pretend with my little piece of yarn here. So I'm gonna knit to that marker, and then what am I doing?
Probably
flip it.
Slip it.
Yep.
Slip the marker, and then do like a knit 2 together.
SSK.
Actually. SSK.
I know.
I was close. I was close.
Yep. Every squares are not, they're not squares.
They're parallelograms.
Sort of. They're usually quadrilaterals. I'll give you that.
Parallelograms.
But they're not always.
I mean, not the center ones.
Sometimes they're trapezoids.
Oh, that's true. Some of them are trapezoids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They feel like parallelograms.
They do feel like parallelograms, but you're right. They are trapezoids.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, what's the name?
What's the other one?
And then I decided they were probably trapezoids.
They are.
But it's okay. So, yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's making progress.
There we go.
It's good stuff.
To the marker.
Yes.
Marker. I did it. Slip, knit. Okay. Not gonna
Speaking of slip, knit, how do you slip, knit? Are you one of those good people who actually slip, knits? Or are you one of those heathens who does a knit 2 together through the back?
Well, I think you just saw me as a good person that does a slip, and then I knit them together.
Yeah, I do the knit 2 together through the back.
Yeah. Well, takes all kinds.
Yeah. I mean, it's either that response or we can no longer be friends because it seems like those are the 2 answers. People are either like, yeah, okay, whatever.
I literally don't care what you do as long as you don't tell me what to do. So, yeah.
I mean, how I roll you should do a left-leaning decrease. How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
I did it.
Yay!
I did a left-leaning decrease.
Left-leaning decrease.
I did, all by myself. Now I'm going to slip one with yarn in front. For some reason. I don't know why. I'm just going to do it.
I feel like there have to be more ways to do a left-leaning decrease, but those are the only 2. Like, really, mostly, you're just supposed to do a slip, knit. That's the one that comes up in patterns most often.
It is, yes. But there's also, like, one that's like is it, you slip one and then you
knit
one
and pass the slip stitch over. Yes.
And it just
I guess
different.
Yeah. I guess I see it more as part of like a center double decrease where you do that kind of a thing. But yes, that definitely would be a left leaning decrease also.
Slip marker. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I knit to the last 3 stitches. I
Woo-hoo!
can do that. Yes.
Knit to the last 3 stitches.
Nice long section of knitting.
Awesome.
That's the way I want it.
Cool.
And it's snowing, so
it is snowing.
Probably gonna, go knit it
at your house. That's an interesting take on
get
things.
Like a cup of something warm and drink it and cozy up.
Yes, and apparently my husband has been working on building a desk, and I'm supposed to go look at it.
You should be very impressed.
I will be very impressed because there are things involved with this desk. It did not come from IKEA.
Oh, is it a labor of love?
Yeah.
Did it come from Lowe's?
Parts of it did.
Oh boy.
Parts of it were ordered from the manufacturer.
Oh no, there's parts.
There's parts. There's multiple parts.
Okay.
So like this is a legit build, but like Okay.
Okay.
So if you are still here, thank you for hanging out with us. Hopefully you got some knitting done. Tell us your favorite left-leaning decrease.
Yes.
Why not?
Very important.
It's very important. This is how we find out who's cool and who knows lots of knitting techniques. Just kidding. Everybody's cool.
That's what knitting books are for.
Right.
I would look in the knitting book and it would tell me what they are. And I'd be like, oh, yes, I remember that one. I'm going to do this.
I feel like I'm looking at my library of knitting books over here, and thinking about which ones have like stitch glossaries in the back of, like, individual stitch glossaries, as opposed to like, you know, the 750 knitting stitches, or I have one of the Vogue Stittionaries. So like not a knitting dictionary, but like a stitch glossary of,
this sounds like some,
this is what I mean when I say like increase one.
This sounds like some hard-hitting research you need to do.
Of all the left-leaning decreases. I mean, you say that, but then I would do it.
I know you would. Don't do it.
I would do it.
Don't. Read a book. Read a book. It'll be okay.
And then I will knit the other snake.
Oh. She has a book snake too, everybody.
A book snake.
I don't know if we told you about the book snake yet.
The book snake is also happening.
And he's very green.
He's very green for some reason that has nothing to do with anything.
Because you made green your secret favorite color. The color for your secret favorite genre.
I don't think fantasy is a secret favorite genre. I think it's just a favorite genre. I don't think anyone would be surprised to find out that fantasy is my favorite genre. But really, the real thing, so for my book snake, which I don't have here, but maybe I'll put in a picture, the way that I am doing my book snake, because I'm not doing it the way that everyone else is doing their book snake, because I'm crazy. While I am reading a physical book, I knit with the color that corresponds to the genre of that book. So I'm a slow reader and a fast knitter. So now that we are here halfway through January, I am like a 5-foot snake. It might end up being like a king-size bedspread by the end of the year. Who knows? It might not get stuffed, and I might just stitch it together.
A snake spread?
A snake spread, yeah. And it'll just like, maybe it'll like coil up and just go on the bed. Who knows? But it is already pretty substantially large. I have finished one book, and I'm like halfway through one other, and then I've started 2 others. I really haven't done that much reading. It's a lot of knitting.
And I, fool that I am, just brought her an enormous bag of books. Yes. From my other friend.
That's okay.
Books,
that's okay, because part of the point of the book snake was to help use up temperature blanket yarn.
Yes.
And we will do that, because a lot of those books are literary fiction and romance, which are colors that are coming from the temperature blanket.
There we go.
So it's all good. Okay, so we actually are going to sign off now. So let us know your favorite left-leaning decrease and what you like to do when you're knitting. Like, do you watch movies or TV? Do you have a favorite TV show to watch while you're knitting? Do you listen to audiobooks? Do you listen to podcasts? What do you do? That's going to be our general ending question. That's how you know we're done. But let us know what it is. Thanks, guys.
Run.